As the saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get your honey off your frames as well. If you are actually just starting out and you haven't got yourself a little spinner, well, here's one option for you. I've just got a nice food grade container. One rule I'd say, you don't have to have a pot like this. You don't have to get excited. You can do it in a bucket. You can do whatever you like. Don't do it in a rubbish bin, because rubbish bins aren't food grade. Just make sure it's food grade plastic at the very least. Hell, if you're really excited and you're out there and you're doing the homesteady thing and you've got a glass pot to put this in, well, even all the better. But just make sure food grade plastic at the very least, okay? And that's what we've got here. This is a very simple way to get your first honey frames off before you get to the next level of craziness, when you have your own little honey pour or you have your own uncapping machine, and spinners and bloody hell and all the crap that goes with that. But if you're only going to have one hive, well, you know, hell. So let's see what happens. I've just found this scraper in the cupboard that I've given a bit of a wash up. And all you just want to do is just run that down. This is, like I said, this is a solid plastic frame, so it's a little bit different. I'm just going to peel it off like that. Beautiful, look at that. Fresh honey from the bees straight in your tummy. Oh, golly gosh. Now this isn't how we harvest the honey that we sell on our website, by the way. This is just to show you a way that you can make this happen. But it looks pretty jolly good to me. That's a bit like uncapping from the back instead of the front. Oh, look at that for a cool shot. Oh, that looks pretty groovy. They're pretty blooming industrious, aren't they, bees? I mean, honestly, for such a small insect, they do an amazing job. I guess it's the whole trick of nature, isn't it? Why they, like I've said before, why the bees actually got a stinger in their bum, so they can try and defend this beautiful piece of paradise on a frame. Oh, perhaps don't do this with your 5-year-old, because they'll just get covered in sticky stuff, and then you'll have a conversation with your missus about what the hell happened here. Why is that jumpsuit covered in crap? And you'll say, oh, I don't know. Perhaps they were just going past the door. Oh, heck, I wish there was smell-o-vision. That smells good. I reckon that looks pretty jolly good to me. Oh, this actually works really well, this. Oh, I think that's actually a putty knife, or like for doing plastering on your house. But that's perfect for this job. Oh, look at that. The things you find in your wife's cupboard, you never know what's going to pop up. It's incredible. Just as well we have a hardware store that sells all this cool stuff. They also sell some of our products there at Thrifty Link too, so heck, if you're ever travelling through Loxton, perhaps pop into the Loxton Hardware's Garden Centre and check out my wife's handiwork. Or even crazier, if you happen to be going through Loxton, they've got my voice on this show called The Story Towns, and I'm actually telling you all about Loxton, so just remember to tune in. John might even put a link on that so you know what to tune in to. Yummy, yum, yum. Look at me go, what a mess. This isn't the cleanest job, by the way, but still, honey extraction is grubby whichever way you go about it. What a sticky business. Look at that. Amazing, John. There's probably a special thing you can stand these frames on, but anyway. So now that you're all covered in your sticky goodness, you want to just use whatever you've used to dismember these frames and just poke this through this gorgeous looking honeycomb that we've got in here, which was almost a shame because it looks so sexy. You just want to break it all up a little bit like this, just to help it along its way. It will come out anyway, but you just want to do this and then spread it out a bit so you get all the wax cappings. Push it back a bit, and then we're going to sit it up on its edge in a minute. But just speed it up, just break up all the big bits. So you're pretty much just making a nice bit of slurry. Scrape off your edges. Now I suggest you don't do this outside, because the bees will smell this honey, and next thing you know you'll come back in an hour's time and there'll be a bloomin' heap of dead bees drowning in your honey that you don't want. So you need it in a sealed room that the bees can't get to. I'm in my outside area here. Plenty of people do this in the laundry if their missus isn't home or their husband isn't home. I'm not brave enough to do it in my laundry, even though if you've been a long time watcher of this show, my wife is very gracious, but there are some things in my life that I value more, perhaps my life, than I do actually getting the honey extracted. So just do this part of the project somewhere where the bees can't get to it, because otherwise you'll come back and you'll have a pot full of dead bees and you'll be most distressed. Now I'm going to go and wash my hands if John will open the door. Nope. Look at that, sticky free. Woohoo! And didn't even get it on the doorknob because I had someone to open it for me. Don't try and open a door handle with sticky honey hands, because it's anyway, it does not leave a good impression on your better half. I had a phone call from one of the people that emailed us in the questionnaire called 7-Eleven, and apparently I made a bit of a joke about the 7-Eleven being, maybe that's where she works, but apparently it's actually her birthday. So if I don't probably going to remember on the 7th of the 11th to say happy birthday, but happy birthday for whenever that is in November, which is the 7th. Anyway, I bring that up because she rang up and she was very concerned that her honey was too dark. And the interesting thing with honey is, because when you're obviously buying honey in the shop, it's that beautiful golden yellow honey that we all think of. And that's because the boys that buy the honey from all the different beekeepers, they have a sort of 2 or 3 specific models of honey that they want to generate. So they'll mix dark honey and light honey and very white honey with very dark honey, and they'll get that beautiful yellow consistency that everybody considers to be what honey looks like. And of course that's the benefit of having, I don't know, several thousand beekeepers supplying you as a big corporation buying honey from people. If you're in your backyard and you've made sure your honey's capped and you've taken it out and you've done all the right things as far as that's concerned, I don't think there's going to be any problem. There's a few there, although having said that, I do know there's a couple of plants in New Zealand that you have to be careful about. There's a few plants later in the season that you want to be careful about eating that honey, because it can have some problems and make you go to the toilet, I think, is from what I've heard. But I'm sure someone in New Zealand will write in the comments down here and tell me what that is actually called. So there is a few plants that the bees will work that don't do you any good, but don't hurt the bees in any which way or form. So one other thing I did think was rather cool, I was reading this article about some dudes that actually harvest some honey in I think it's the Andes somewhere, and the bees work a certain plant at a certain time of the year, and you go on a serious trip when you eat that honey. So I don't know, maybe if we get enough sponsors, we'll go to the Andes and we'll have a trip on some cool honey. And now we'll just go and pop our frames back in our hive, because you don't want to leave the bees without any frames, otherwise you'll have a hell of a mess next time you come back. I've played that game once or twice and it's not good. So we'll just go and do that. We'll let our honey sit here for a minute, and then we'll come back and round this up. Ooh, it's still heavy. Well, there's the frames returned to their happy little home. Now you can get really excited and get yourself a screen and get all motivated to screen out the cappings and the wax and all the rest of it. Just be aware though, quite often, because the honey's not warm, it'll actually create a bit of an issue, and sometimes the sieve will run over and then you'll have honey on the floor and you've kind of defeated the purpose. So normally when I do this first bit, I just put it on a bit of an angle, and then I sacrifice a little bit of wax in my bucket, because I figure a little bit of wax is not going to do you any harm anyway. It's nice, natural product. If you're buying honeycomb, you're going to be eating some wax. So, but if you want to screen the honey out, do that in the next lap. That's my advice. So I've got a honey tap on this container so as I can actually let the honey out, which is a very advantageous idea. I mean, I suppose you could use any sort of tap. Honey taps are pretty available on the internet. They range anywhere from $2 to, I don't know, $50. These ones are about 20 bucks, which are good ones. The $2 ones are a bit crap because the rubbers are a bit ordinary, so try not to be too cheap ass. You know, but you don't have to buy the stainless steel ones. I mean, hell, that's, you know, getting a bit top end, but it all depends. I suppose it depends how many jars of honey you're going to strain. So I just want to tilt this up a little bit. I reckon I've got a pot with my wife's wood treatment in it. I think that's what this is. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's the glove leather treatment, which is a really cool product. I use that all the time on my bee gloves. It's amazing. And I mean, it's extended their life immensely because when you wash your leather, of course, it gets all brittle and horrible and you can't bend your fingers. But you put some of this on when they're damp and your leather will stay soft and supple and hell, on you go. I don't know, I guess if you were a horse rider, you could probably put it on your saddle and all. But we're going to repurpose this pot at the moment and sit it under here as a bit of a ledge. So now we've got another bucket with another honey tap. So try to make sure the honey tap's closed because I've kind of done this project once or twice and the honey tap's not quite shut and you come back and all your hard work's on the floor. It's not much good for nothing. Well, I suppose you can scrape it up and feed it back to the bees and they can recycle it, clean it, and then you can do this whole process again, but that seems a bit pointless. Anyway, you're just going to put your bucket under here. Right, and then we're just going to open our tap and we're going to let the honey dribble out. And hopefully we won't get too much wax. The cameraman was just wondering how am I going to keep the wax out. Well, eventually the wax forms its own little barrier and the honey drifts through the wax, hopefully. If not, we're going to have a bucket full of wax and then we'll have to warm that up and put it through a screen properly. So, but generally, I don't mind a bit of wax in my honey, so what the hell. And now, lucky for me, I get to go inside and watch telly while the man stays here for 4 or 5 hours and make sure this honey all extracts beautifully, so, you know, or perhaps not. We're about a week later. It's been a bit cool. This happens a lot quicker in summer because, you know, the honey's a bit warmer. This is autumn, so it's a little bit cooler. It's taken a little bit longer than I'd anticipated, but I think the net result is pretty efficient. We haven't used any straining. We've got a few cappings floating on the top of our honey, which we can easily remove, or if you're doing it and you happen to have it with a jar with a tap in the bottom or a bucket with a tap in the bottom, all you do now is you put your bucket up the top, transfer your honey into your jars, and oh, hey presto, you've got supernatural, unfiltered, what is it called? Unbastardized? Or in the real world of all the organic people, you've got your natural raw honey. You didn't spin it, it's not even bloody dizzy. So it'll be absolutely perfect on your toast. Give it a crack and see how you get on. And not that this honey is going to be for sale on our website, but we have other really cool items on there to have a crack at and have some of the natural flavours of honey on your toast or whatever in your cooking. Don't forget, and thank you to all our Patreons that are diligently supporting us and keeping this show alive. Big shout out to you. And don't forget your questions, because that all seems very popular. Our 8 frames, 10 frames query has gone off its chops, so that's rather interesting. So keep on viewing, like, click, subscribe, share, I don't know, all that stuff that happens out there in the internet world. Let's see if we can't get this show above 50,000.